we are. Monty, remind me, by the way, we got to put a little guitar solo at the intro. Yeah, that'd be cool. We gotta make that happen. Welcome to another edition of Get Found,
Be Seen,
and Be Seen. And today is very interesting. As you know, for those who don't know, I'm Carl Eileen, and this is Monte Armstrong, and we have a special guest today, the amazing Anza Goodbar. But it's not just that. So this is interesting because I'm in a position where I'm going to be interviewing Monty and Anza. How cool is that? How y'all doing today? Cool. Pretty cool. Yes. Ready to go. This is so cool. I'm so excited. Everything well?
Too. Everything is great.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, hey, today we're going to be talking about something pretty cool. The Ideal Client Mastery is the title, is how we titled it. Unveiling the blueprint for the ultimate experience. So we're going to get into it. And this is interesting because the whole idea of having an ideal client, you know, people talk about it, but it's still somewhat of a mystery to a lot of people. It's still something to continually figure out. And who better to speak about that than you two?
I don't know who. No, wait, don't answer.
We
that.
don't know.
Right here. We're the power team right here.
The power team. That is right. That is right. And so what we'll do is, you know, first of all, I know about you guys, of course. We're really cool, and I have a story. I have my version of the story of how we all know each other. But I want to give, especially even for our audience on LinkedIn, an opportunity for you all to explain who you are, what you do, and let's start off like that.
Well, let's let Anza, since I'm always on the show, we'll just let you start out, and then I'll just wrap up with whatever question Carl has.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Well, my name is Anza Goodbar, and I am the founder of Influencer Digital Marketing Solutions. And I work with women-led businesses to help them increase their visibility, build strong brands, and engage with their customers through cost-effective, targeted digital marketing solutions. And a big part of that is helping people identify who it is that they're serving, because I say that's the heartbeat of business. You know who you're talking to, your message is going to fall on deaf ears. And so we spend a lot of time before we even get to creating a marketing plan is really determining who that niche is, who that ideal client is. And then we help them create amazing content for social media, for sales pages, for emails, all that fun stuff.
Love it.
And conversely, of course, I'm Monte Armstrong. Some of you may or may not have seen me on the show before. I come from the other angle of I didn't have an ideal client. I didn't know what an ideal client was, and I suffered burnout, and I suffered poor business decisions. And even though my business was successful, I had to work 3 times as much and 3 times as hard to make it successful. And I know that because of what I've learned since then. I can look back and say, oh, I did that the hard way because I didn't know about this ideal client thing and how powerful it is in your business of making business decisions. So Anza has all this experience on marketing and reaching your ideal client. And I have this direction for life happiness as far as I'm concerned. Because I was unhappy, and now I am quite pleased with the way I am conducting my business.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, it is, Anza. And Anza, I love it. By the way, I love your brand name, Influence Her. That's so cool.
Influence Her, yes. And you know, I have several guys who have reached out, and they were feeling really left out. So we also speak to influencers for the men that would like to work with me. I don't want them to be left out, but yeah, because that's what we want to do in our business, right? We want to influence the people in our circle. We want to bring them along with us. We want to help solve their problems. We want our clients to be seen as the expert in their field, in their niche, in their industry, however they look at that. And, one way that we do that is through content. It can be through speaking, it can be through live videos, it can be through email, through social media posts. There's this whole wide range of content creation that not everybody dips their toe into, right? Some people simply just do social media posts. That's what I do. That's my thing. I don't want to do anymore. But then you have people on the other end of the spectrum, like you, who are out there doing podcasts, who are making videos, who are doing reels and all the things. And so we can service people anywhere that they fall in that spectrum to help them, grow their business, to be a part of what their master business plan is.
Mm.
So, Monty, you were talking just a minute ago about working harder in your previous business, and I see that so much. And it reminds me of a story that I actually shared in the book about when I was a kid. My dad owned an appliance store. We sold major appliances, we sold televisions, and we sold stereo systems. And I worked in the family business on the weekends and in the summer. And when I was about 11, microwave ovens became a thing. And, we didn't have the term ideal client. We didn't have the term avatar profile. Those weren't a thing yet, right? Those weren't buzzwords. But when the microwave oven came out, my dad sat down with our team and said, women are going to drive this sale. It isn't the husband who's going to see the value in what this product does. It's the wife. And, in not so many words, it's like, what problem are we solving for her? Well, we're helping her prepare meals faster and easier. She can, make a cup of tea instead of putting it on a pot to boil. She can do it faster. She can not heat up the house in the summertime and still do all of these things. And so it's like, what's the best way to do that? Well, back in 1970 something, we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have, all of the means that we have now. And so it was not a seminar, a workshop. We started doing Saturday workshops, inviting women from the community in to teach them how to cook in a microwave oven. And that was where I actually started speaking, because that was something that at 11 years old, I was teaching women how to cook in microwave ovens, because
Mm.
we had to learn how to do it before we could teach them to do it, right? And then all of a sudden, that became like this huge thing. And so people in businesses have been doing this all along. They just didn't
Right.
necessarily realize that they were doing it. They weren't maybe using the terms that we use today to figure it out. But we
Mm.
always have looked at, what's the problem my client's having? How can I effectively communicate how I can solve that? And then how do I need to deliver that message to them? Where are they? How can I reach them? Back
Mm.
then it was radio ads, TV ads, or billboards, or flyers, right? That's what we did back in the 70s and 80s,
Flyers.
right? Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Um, but now we've got so many choices, and being able to determine what are those right channels, where are my people hanging out, how do I find
Right.
them? Yeah.
And
Right.
Carl has said
The,
many times how back then it required tons of money and tons of
yes.
time for the market
Cheddar
research
cheese.
side to figure
Yeah.
out any of that stuff.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. And that's why I love now. Honestly, to be honest, I don't know if I'd be in business if I had to do it even 20 years before, 20,
Mm-hmm.
25, 30 years prior,
Mm-hmm.
it's just so
Mm-hmm.
much. The playing ground is so even now. The playing field is so even, as they say, right? And there's so many
Sure.
opportunities, so many options. Remember that word, Monty?
Indeed.
Yeah.
So many options, and especially even with social media. I try to
Right.
tell people, hey, listen, this right here, this, all of this is free TV. So why ain't you on it? So I love what you all are saying. That's so true. And I appreciate you even breaking down and telling us in the story. And just, it's good to be reminded of our history and where we've come from, where we're at. When you have more options, and things are more spelled out, you can be more intentional, and that just boosts your efforts so much. So Love it.
Mhm.
Love it. So, hey, I'm curious. Well, I know this. I know the answer to this, but I'm asking for our audience. Like, so what made, like, how did you all meet each other, and what made you work on your project together? Like, I know, but I want you to tell our audience.
I would love you to share that story, Monty.
Well, I don't know exactly where the meeting part happened. It was because of the copy and content AI group. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was from the group or from the book challenge, which one came first.
Mm,
But somewhere along in there is when we first started interacting.
yeah.
And so that was a year ago. And
Right.
we just had our Facebook friendiversary, 1 year
Yes.
friendiversary there.
That's
So
right.
that's that point. Well, there's where, because when we met, it was like, hey, Facebook friend. All right. So that way
Right.
we get the message. And so
Right.
it's been quite some time. We had you as a guest on one of our early shows, one of our early podcasts.
Right.
And from that point, just I saw a lot of your posts and saw that you are talking about the same thing that I was learning and developing a whole thing about. And
Mhm.
so then we just kind of started talking about that topic. And I got to the point where I have my idea of where I'm going. And I thought, oh, what I need to do is write a book about this. And I know how to do it. I've got all these tools. I've done it before. This will be my third book. I could do it, no problem. But wouldn't it be more fun to have someone else who has the same topic? And I didn't even really mean, it wasn't like I said, whoa, Anza comes at it from this point of view and I come up from this point of view. And because of that, it makes us a power team. Well, that just happened. It was just the
Right.
fact of, I just don't want to do it alone. I want someone to
Yeah.
riff off of and someone to share in the triumphs,
Right.
and so that's why I reached out. And apparently Anza thought it was a semi-decent idea.
By the way, Monty, you sound like a musician.
Right.
You gotta riff
I
off of
know.
each other.
Got a little music, a little dance in there.
Little man,
Right.
little groove.
Just want to have a little fun.
That's
I want to take that just a little step further in that we did meet in the copy and content.ai group. And, through that group, we were kind of interacting through the leader of that group. And every time Monty would come up and share something that he was doing in a project, we were all using the same tools, but I saw he was using them in such a different way. He had such a different perspective. And so when he approached me and said, hey, I think we have some opportunities to collaborate, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Because his mind thinks so differently than mine. And it's been so much fun to have conversations and to see things come together in a really cohesive way, um, and just go to levels that I would never have thought of on my own. And so it's been really fun just to bring our very different backgrounds and bring them together through this common thread of this thing that we do, independently in our business, and be able to work on it together and create something so much more impactful than what we could do on our own. Because we certainly could each have done it separately and it would have been absolutely fine. But this has been so much fun and it's been a great learning. And it's given us, I think, a more diverse topic perspective than what is out there. And that's, I think, what we're most excited about bringing to the publishing of this project.
Right,
I agree that and that angle that you're talking about that I am introducing into our collaboration is there because of your perspective, because it's built off of that. It's not just that I had that and now you're tapping into it. It's that we put in together. So there's that. Coming back to how we spoke the other day, balance isn't necessarily on a scale. Sometimes balance is in a recipe and having the right amounts of the ingredients.
That's true.
Dude, and that is, I love how you say that, Monty. That's so true. Because that Anza, I agree with you. I'm the same. Monty thinks differently than me too. So I'm like, why do you
I'm
think about it
different
like
than
that?
everybody.
It's a recipe. It's a recipe. It's not so much a balance always.
Right.
It's a recipe. And that's so
Right.
huge. Write a book about
It
that, by
is.
the way, too. Ha. Oh man, good stuff. And so that brings us to our topic, just even the ideal client. In your opinion, knowing your ideal client, why is it such a big issue nowadays? And why is this such a problem in the business world? In your opinion?
In my opinion, well, again, kind of like what I said at the beginning is I feel like it's the heart and soul of your business. If you don't know who you're talking to, and this is a problem that I see is that, and I have done this myself. I mean, Monty and I kind of went through this together, and I am guilty of doing this myself, is that we think of all of these different people that we could serve. And so we take all of their problems and all of their ideas and frustrations and pain points and desires, and we create this monster avatar, right? This super avatar that covers all the things that we could talk about. But when we do that, we're not talking to anybody because our message is so watered down and so convoluted that it's like wearing a blindfold and trying to play darts and just hoping that you hit the wall that the dartboard's on. If you happen to hit the dartboard, wow, that's really huge. If you hit a bullseye, that's almost unheard of, right? And so being able to really look at who is that person? Who's that one person? What is it about them? And then I think the other part of this is people think I can only have one avatar. No, you can have as many as you want to have, but your messaging is going to be a little bit different. And I share this story in the book too. I have a client who is a transitional coach, and she worked with women going through life transitions. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I help women go through transitions. She wasn't getting any business because what is a transition? Is it a death of a spouse? Is it a divorce? Is it losing your breast to cancer? Is it a miscarriage? Is it the death of a child? All of those things are life transitions, but they all take different messaging, right? You can't put all of those traits in one super avatar and think that anybody's going to relate to it. And so I think it's really the process of dissecting down into that one person. Who is that one person? And what is it about them? And really, when you're writing content, you want to write to that one person. You want to create that dialogue, that communication, that relationship, that bond, right? You can't do that in mass. You have to do it one by one. But when you're doing it one by one, you have lots of ones that are, being attracted to you. And it sounds so counterintuitive, but that's really the way that it's done. You want to have that intimacy. You want to have that eye contact, so to speak, in that digital world. And that's what really makes the difference in people who are running successful businesses and connecting with people versus those who are really struggling and working really hard. They're still trying to talk in mass and to everyone through one set of messaging.
Might I say, yeah, like, Monty, you beat me to the punch. I was about to say, might I say, dang, that was good. That was solid.
For me, it's also how to. I could riff off of that for days. There's so much to talk about in that
so much
field there. So,
yeah.
What your question, Carl, was why is knowing the ideal client such a big issue? And that, like Anza said, it's so that you're not just making content either for the sake of making content or just hoping that, well, if I make content and throw it out there, it'll stick onto somebody.
Right.
But
right.
Why is it such a problem in the business world? That's where my side was, where people think the ideal client is, well, that's just helping me make content. When in reality, it helps you make your business decisions.
Ooh.
Because that's my whole thing that I've been talking about with pivoting in my business decision is based on my avatar. The avatar is my compass so that I know how to pivot. But the avatar, like Anza said, a lot of people think that there's just one. But even if they've gotten to the idea that there's more than one, there's a connection. Oftentimes, sometimes it is just totally different avatars, but oftentimes it's the same avatar in a different point of time in their customer journey. So when your customer first comes to you and you've identified them as an avatar and they consume something and get value from you, they have grown. They've become a different person. And they now have a new outlook on things. They're a new avatar. And if you don't redefine them and figure out where they've grown to so that you know what their next logical step is, you're missing out on the journey. You're only getting them in one point in time.
Wow. Yeah, all that is so solid and it's so true. And I find too, as a business owner and even witnessing with clients and just other people around me too, sometimes it's hard to just have that faith to say, you know what, I'm choosing, I decide I'm gonna go here. One is even to take a step back, it's hard. It takes time and takes building muscles, so to speak, to get involved and get your hands dirty and learn and understand people. And I love, Anza, when you said eye-to-eye contact. You know, and then you said intimacy. It takes that intimacy to get to know, and then to have the faith to say, you know what, this is the decision I'm gonna serve this person right here, and then I'm building this around this person, so to speak. It's scary, to be honest, for a lot of people. I mean, it's something that, but I find that it's important to get to a point where you can realize that, and then to acknowledge it, and then you're able to say, you know what, you could take that leap and say, all right, this is where I'm going.
Right.
Stick with it.
And I think there's a couple of things that go into that. And one of it is fear, right? If I serve this one person, are there enough of these one persons out there to sustain my business? Which, again, it feels counterintuitive, right? I need to serve all these people. I need to offer all of these different services in order to have enough audience to make a good living. But the truth of the matter is, when somebody feels seen, heard, and understood because your content made them feel like somebody out there gets me, that's a game changer. That pulls people into you. There are more than enough people that are similar to the ideal person that you have designed to grow a sustainable and thriving business. I think the other side of that, and this is where I fell into it, was I'm going to get bored to death if I'm just doing the one thing for the one person. Am I going to feel challenged and creative and motivated if this is the one thing that I'm doing? And that took me many years in my business to be able to let go of that idea that, I didn't have to be all things to all people all the time. And Monte and I kind of shared some thoughts on a LinkedIn post today about that. And a lot of newly minted business owners and entrepreneurs feel like they have to do all the things, and they're busy doing all the things, but they're not bringing in that revenue. And so to be able to, like Monte said, use that avatar to be that filter in your business decision making process, that's a game changer. That's a game changer. It's a tough mindset shift, but it's a game changer in your business. And, Monte just attested, he's having more fun in his business now than he was before when he was trying to do all the things. And I can attest to that in my business too. I was on the hamster wheel constantly, creating this, creating that, creating this, doing this. Oh, this segment could use my help. Oh, I have the skills, I could do this. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Yep. That was my big Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Is as saying no. And it's the reason why is the difficult part to get over, because you want to explain to somebody.
Right.
And well, I don't know, maybe this is me. I don't want to tell someone no because then they think I can't do it. For one.
Right.
And then there's the fear of missing out. Yes, maybe I could build a business on just this one avatar, this one type, but what am I missing out on? All these other people, I could have a bigger business. Because traditionally,
Right.
in my age group, when back in those 70s and 80s, when you're learning about life and stuff, business is brick and mortar, and this is how you do it.
Right. Right.
You know, and now
Well,
it has evolved so quickly and so drastically and so much
right.
that
Right.
that's not true. In fact, unless you do it differently, you'll fail.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Good stuff. That's. We gonna say something, Anza?
Well, it just kind of made me think, even saying no or not offering all of these things that I can do, I felt like I was squandering my gifts and talents. It's like I was given these gifts and abilities to serve people. That's why I have them. And if I'm not serving them, I felt like I was wasting precious resources that God gifted me with. And, I kind of moved through that with John Maxwell saying, be really great at the things that you're good at and delegate the other things. And that, takes you into a whole nother aspect of your business in surrounding yourself with collaborators and team members that can fill in those gaps for you. So you don't have to be all things to all people. But, for some business owners, that's also a thing, that they really struggle with. They feel like God gifted them with certain abilities and they should be using them actively every day through their business.
For me, it was also, well, if I don't help them, who is? These poor people need help. If I don't help them, who's going to help them?
Right.
And so that was difficult. But then when I finally realized well, if I'm going to help them, how much help can I give them? Well, with the amount of time and resources that I have left over after helping all these people, I'm only going to be able to give them 20%. So I'm giving 20% effort to everybody.
Right.
One, that doesn't make me feel good. And two, that doesn't project the business that I want to project. Even though 20% was sufficient to satisfy the needs.
Right.
I don't want to give 20% to people. So that was part of that decision-making process. How can I give 100% to all my clients? And therefore my business is automatically elevated. I'm already now I'm over delivering instead of meeting the requirements.
Right. Wow.
That's there you go. Snaps, right?
Snaps,
Don't give the bare minimum. Give 100%. Over Monte, and you over deliver. I know that for a fact.
It does indeed.
I know that for a fact. So for both of you, what are key elements that entrepreneurs need to consider when defining their ideal avatars?
Do I go first, Monty?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You go.
So, you go. I think one of the things that people really overlook is competition research. You want to look at what else is out there, what else is working, who are you competing against? Because at the end of the day, and you might have heard this in different terms. You might have heard it as your blue ocean, which I think is a Russell Brunson thing. You don't want to be in red waters where the sharks are already out there, making their meal. Or you might have heard it as being an economy of one, that you are creating your own economy. You want to look at what's out there. What are other people doing? How are they talking to their people? Where are their people showing up? And then you're able to sit down and say, who is it that I really want to work with? And I even ask myself, how do I want to feel when I'm working with these people? And then you can start to self-select. You know what? I don't want to work with people who are bossy and they've already made up their mind and they're not open to hearing new ideas. Don't want to do that. I'm going to, right. It's like, I'm going to be beating my head on the wall. I don't want that. I only want to work with people that have these traits, right? I want to work with people who are in the coaching and consulting industry. Great. What does that mean? What are their unique attributes? Oftentimes, people in the coaching and consulting business are really great at coaching and consulting, not necessarily great at business building, right? So, how can I marry, again, looking at what are our strengths and weaknesses? How do we come together? So, what problem can I help them solve? And then, narrowing that down again to that one person. So, I think really being able to start with who's your competition? What are they up to? How can you look at what they're doing and then find that gap? What is it that they're not doing that is a need that you are uniquely qualified to jump in and fill? And I think that's really at the heart of it. And Monty will attest to this. There's so many other steps and questions, but I think that that's a great starting point that people forget. It's like, oh, I'm going to go in and I'm just going to do this and that, and they don't have any research. And there are so many people, it's a busy space. They haven't taken the time to differentiate themselves, to create their own value proposition that is different than what the hundreds of other people in their space are already doing.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that one. And like Anza said, there's tons. So you got all these psychographics, all these demographics, all these buyer habits, all these mental thoughts, and things that you. It's not that you need to look at them all. You need to identify the ones that are relevant for your situation, and then gather those specific data points. But just to expand on what Anza said, that oftentimes the most overlooked one is your competitor. And it's not just your competitor as a competitor, but it could be a competitor as a collaborator. So I've had in my business several people that were considered, as far as a consumer would be concerned, we were competitors. But really, our services only overlapped a little bit. So one example is there was a guy who he does fix computers like I did fix computers, but he focused on Apple and he focused on mobile phones and tablets, whereas I focused on PC and websites and IT support for businesses. And so there was room there that people were calling me, hey, do you fix Apples? Do you fix phones? No, I don't. But this guy does. And so therefore, rather than me just saying that or saying, nope, I don't do it, sorry. I went and approached him because one, I don't want to refer to somebody that I wouldn't go to him. So why would I refer to somebody? So I went and talked to him, and also to plant the seed. Hey, I do these other things that you don't want to. Do you do websites? No, I hate websites. Oh, wow. I do websites. If you ever need help with a website, you got a customer needs help, I'll help you. And so I've gotten several jobs from that. And I was able to send people to a reputable place when they needed help. And I was thanked many times. Oh, I really appreciate you giving me a lead because I didn't know where to go.
I'd like to just dovetail on that a little bit too. When you're looking at competition research, you want to look at where you are in the stream, right? And so you want to look at people who are downstream from you. So when you're done with them and they're looking for the next level, who can you refer them to? But then you want to look at people who are up the stream from you, just like Monty said, who maybe don't do the service that you do, but they would be your ideal client. And you want to build that relationship. So in like the example that he shared, you don't do websites, I do. If you've got clients that need help with that, I would love to help you. You can put together a referral program or an affiliate program, however you want to define that, because that's really a smart way to spend marketing dollars, versus wasting money on ads or other forms of advertising. Having that handshake, going back to the brick and mortar, you've got this agreement, you've got this relationship with this trusted business partner. I think that is really important, and it's something that you really want to think about when you're looking at who your ideal client is. Where do you fit in that buyer's journey? Because that's a really important thing to consider as well. when you're making those decisions, because it is a filter that you use when you're making business decisions on who do you serve, how do you serve them, who do you need in your circle. And your team doesn't have to be an employee in your team. Your team can be those people that you refer to, those referral partners, those business besties. And so I think that's an important consideration too. Thanks for bringing that up, Monty.
Indeed. That was cool.
I love that phrase. Hey, we're business besties.
That's right.
That's right. I love it. I love it. And I love what you both said, because I find that it's helpful because, one, hey, I'll keep it real. That takes more work. That takes more mental work, and even for your business, there may be people on your team, if you have a team, who, they can't do it for you. You have to be the one to do that for the most part. Probably that could be the case, but at the end of the day, it just produces so much more personal development, business and personal development for you, and you come out taller out of in the outcome. So I love what you all said. That's inspiring. That's on point. So what inspired you to read? I understand there's a book that has been written, right? And it's and it's exciting to hear about it. So, and it's called The Ideal Client Map, right? And these two amazing authors wrote the book. Can you tell me about the book? Let's talk about the book.
I feel like you start with that one, because this book was your dream child, Monty.
Okay. Well, I just want to share my knowledge. I mean, that was the first part. It's like I'm going through this journey and I'm learning all these great things that I wish I would have known. And that's the perfect thing to pass on to other people. Hey, before you get going, here's some stuff I wish I would have known. So that's probably the biggest factor there. Yeah, I think that's probably the sum of it all.
I think that's right. I think it's, let's give people the easy button. Let's give people the easy button, because oftentimes it's the scenario of they don't know what they don't know. They just know it's not working. And so I think the ideas that we bring together in the book give them the opportunity to say, oh, this was the piece I was missing to make it all come together. And I think that will be the fun of people reading the book, is being able to go through it in a very logical and sequential manner to say, these are the things that I need to really be clear on who I'm serving. And I think it's been so fun as we've gone through this process, that as long as I have been at this and doing this, I'm still learning. I'm still learning. The landscape is constantly changing between algorithms, or, the economy is changing. And so you need to pivot in your business. What does that look like? What does that mean? Like Monty said, when you have your own client avatar and they've purchased things from you, they've gone through your program, your training, your course, they read your book, they're now changed. They're at a different point in their life. And so many people create an avatar and think, I did it, it's off my list, I'm done. And that really isn't the case. You want them to evolve with you as you and your business evolve and grow. And so I think that we're introducing some new ideas that maybe people kind of thought in the background, but dismissed it because it was more work, right? And so I think that we're bringing some things that are going to help ignite their creativity, their innovation, and their business growth. And so we're really excited to do that.
Not just define your avatar, but avatar or ideal client avatar development.
Right. Development.
That
has been a theme word with us.
And I gotta say, Carl, thank you for providing that word for me. It's one of those things, just like Anza said. So we knew it was there. It wasn't like, oh, I've never heard that word before. But because Carl's website was there and I was looking at it and that word just planted into my face. It was like development. That says it in your personal development, because it's not one and done. You don't define yourself and then here's who I am. I will never change again. Or at least we hope
right.
You know, and so therefore you're human. You're going to evolve.
Right.
Your ideal client avatar is a human. They're going to evolve. And maybe that's that bridge.
Right.
They're a human. They're not a statistic. They're not an audience. They're not a group of people.
They're one person.
They're an individual person. They make up a group of people.
Right.
And that's where I think that's one of the big points of our book is your ideal clients make up your target audience.
Right.
Your target audience is the first step of a good thing, and it's helpful. But there's more work to be done.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's work, but it could be fun.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. It's like, we know our clients have a journey, right? The customer has a journey, but we also have a journey.
Yeah.
Understanding and seeking to understand. Woo, that's emotional intelligence right there. Oh my gosh. That's like a value bomb right there. I mean, like, boom. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Whoa. Oh, that's the book.
That's the book.
Okay.
That's the book.
Look what your value bomb did, dude.
It brought the book out.
Yes, the ideal client map. Oh, I'm excited about this. I can't wait to dive into it. And I'm just excited about what you all are doing. I'm like, I feel like I'm part of the journey. I am part of the journey in a sense, and this is part of the journey, but it's just so cool to see how you all are working on it and seeing the work you're putting into it and just seeing how much fun you're having with it. So that this is you're taking all of us in this audience right here, myself in this audience, on a journey right now. So this is exciting. Yes. Now here's a question. You can answer if you like to or not. Can you give us a sneak peek of some of the framework, just a little bit, this much.
All right.
little bit. I
Go
get
ahead,
goofy
Monty.
sometimes.
You
do.
All right. A sneak peek. Well, we've already mentioned a couple of things. I think what is the best thing to mention right here is, rather than the framework that we're talking about, it's that, like Anza said, she used a story to illustrate a point, and we are both using many stories to illustrate points, so that the book isn't just a hypothesis of things or a analytical, data-driven, boring thing. This is here are these concepts. This is why we came up with these concepts from our own personal experiences. And then this is how you can use that knowledge and apply it. So that's the overall framework is a world experience from our point of view. Right. And as you guys pointed out, my point of view is a little different than most.
A little bit.
But in a good way.
In a great way. Fantastic way.
Right.
Needed.
And I think, along those lines too, it isn't from our personal experience that, this just works with small business. I have some examples of some big brands also that they follow the same concepts that we're sharing. Dove, one of my favorite brands to study, Nike. I think I don't remember if I cut this, Tom's shoes. There are things that big brands are doing that small companies can emulate when they're looking at their ideal avatar and really building out that person that they're going to serve and following them through. Because I think this is one thing that we as small business owners often fall short on, is not having that big vision. Where are we taking them? Nike knows where they're taking their people. Dove knows that journey. And as we're putting together that strategic marketing plan, it has to work hand in hand with your business plan. You've got to
Mm,
have that 3 or 5 year plan. What are you
mm,
doing? Where are you taking people? What's the ultimate goal? And then
right.
inviting people into that journey with you. And I think that our illustrations really help people connect the dots in that area. Because, like Monty said, that avatar helps us define our business choices. It helps develop what that marketing plan should be. How does that fit into the ultimate business plan? You know, who are we serving? How are we serving them? What steps do we need to take to get there, to get them there, to what their ultimate
Right.
goal is? You know, I
Right.
think it goes far beyond just the demographics and the psychographics that, everybody talks about all those things. And those things are important, but there's so
Yeah.
much more than that goes into it. And I think that we touch on those topics.
Love it. Wow.
And
Yeah.
developing the brand voice. That's something Anza says a lot.
Mhm.
And that
Right.
is part of, knowing your avatar is key for that. Because
Right.
otherwise you're developing a brand voice and then trying to find people that fit.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
and since it's easier to change yourself than it is to change others,
Hmm.
um, yeah, developing your brand voice. That's been key for me over the last few weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Love it.
that is so important. And, I have an example in the book of a woman who was really struggling in her business. And as we started nailing things down, she realized that her avatar was a Christian woman. And as she was just out talking in non-Christian terms about some life, um, uh, mm, maybe hot buttons in life, um, she was repelling the people that she was actually trying to attract. And so by just going into what her core values were, proclaiming her Christian faith, she all of a sudden started bringing people in that, before wasn't seeing her or hearing her. And now she's able to serve them in a very authentic way. And so it
Mm,
is really important when you look at building that brand, knowing who you talk to. It's knowing about their values, it's knowing about what their political views are. I've had clients who have said, I don't work with Democrats, I only work with Republicans. And it's like,
yeah.
okay, then
Yeah.
that's how our messaging needs to be, because it is very different if you're working with people of faith versus people who aren't necessarily proclaiming their faith publicly. That makes a difference, you know.
Right.
um, and there are so many issues that are really emotionally driven in our world today. It's really important to look at that person. Why is that thing important? Why are they pro this or con that? How do you, put that messaging in together? Are there words that it's okay to say? Are there words that you never, ever, ever would say?
Mm,
That they're not bad words, but in the
yeah.
context that they're in and in the audience that you're talking to, can be
Right.
offensive words. And so all of those things are crucial when you're putting together your brand voice and your marketing messaging. And they're
Hmm.
things that we don't necessarily think about, you know,
Right.
when I have conversations onboarding clients, I don't ask them, do you only deal with Republicans or Democrats, or does this matter to you? But
Yeah.
through the conversations that we have, when their values are coming out, all of these
Hmm.
things are revealed. And then, great leaders ask, or good leaders ask great questions, right? That
Boom.
gives us the opportunity, to be curious. Why is that important to you? Why should we never say this? Why is this the word that you chose? What's the meaning behind that? To make sure everybody's all on the same page, because it
Yeah.
matters. Words matter. And that's what we're in the business of doing, right? We're creating content. We're trying to turn leads into paying customers. We do that through our words. So we
Right.
have to be very precise.
Well, there's two
Right.
sides to your story there too.
It's great.
There's the
Wow.
side of we've identified that we need to use these words so that we resonate with our target audience, because on the scale you have the bad words, but it's not that the word is bad. It's
Right.
that it has a negative connotation. But on the opposite end, there's the resonating. So you can have a
Right.
word that tries to appeal to everybody, the broad
Right.
audience,
Right.
or you can try to polarize,
Mm-hmm.
which means that some people are going to go over to that negative thing because I don't like that word. But these
Mm-hmm.
people are going to be like, yes, that word makes me resonate. Whereas
Right.
the mediocre word, just I'll scroll right past that.
Right. Right.
Right.
And I'll give you
True.
an example. One of our brands is called Audientum, and Audientum is for the client that doesn't want to find their ideal avatar. They want someone to go out and find it for them. And so we have a business partner who is a data mining company, and we have access to 500 data points. So for a 6-figure investment, you could go in and build your audience of who you want. We can go out and we can find those people that match all of that criteria. So when it comes to selling that product, we never use the word list, because list has a negative connotation, that a list is generic. Anybody could have it. It isn't tailored just for me, right? It's resold multiple times. So we never use the word list. Now, that's not an emotionally charged word per se. It isn't a negative word per se, but the
Right.
perception of the delivery. So we call it a curated audience is what we deliver. That's what we're selling. In reality, we're giving them a list inside of an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, that's the tangible thing, right? That's the vehicle that the product is delivered in. So you want to be really careful when you look at, what am I selling? What am I providing? How are you describing it? How is that perceived? And it could be something as simple as a 4-letter word like list. I mean, it really can be. But those things are really important when you're developing your voice of things that are acceptable and not acceptable to put out.
Right.
And I didn't quite get to the point of be true to yourself. That was part of what your story was. But the lady was trying to not use the words that she would normally use so that she didn't
Right.
cause any waves.
Right.
So what I'm seeing there is someone who is not being true to themselves to appeal to the masses. And when she aligned herself,
Mm-hmm.
then it aligned up with everything else too.
Right.
So that's both sides of that avatar, both the talking to the avatar and just the way I conduct business to get to the avatar.
Right. Right. You have to be authentic.
You have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to be an imitation of somebody else. Just because something is working for somebody else doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. You have to be yourself. You can
And don't
modify
train your
what
digital
somebody
self
else
to
is
be
doing.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I just was reading about that now. There's digital selves. There's AI
Right.
that is you, and the video image is you, and it talks to you, and you can talk to yourself. And I'm just like, oh no.
I could do that in my own mirror.
That's right. I don't need no AI to do it for me.
I can even do that on camera too.
Right. Hello, self.
Oh man, there's so many golden nuggets in what was said today. Anza and Monty, and wow, I think about today. One thing I thought about too was the journey, the customer journey, but also your journey in understanding your customer and potential customers. And one thing I thought about was emotional intelligence. We need a phrase for the business side of things. It's somewhat emotional intelligence. You got to understand people where they're at and pay attention to the context of where they're at and be able to join that. People say join the party, but join that journey and be that guide with them to help them out. And it's not an easy thing. It seems easy. It seems when you see people online doing it, it seems easy. You see people in businesses, sometimes it seems easy for some people, but it's hard. It's not easy. And sometimes it's scary as well, but it can be done. You know, I'm really excited about what you all are doing, and I'm excited about the book. Now, I have a question. Now, when is the book going to be released? When is the release date, and when is the party? I want to come.
Carl is all about the party.
I am. All about the party.
I love it.
Well, our official release is going to be July 31st.
Mm-hmm.
Just around the corner.
Just around the corner. It's coming on up. It's coming around the mountain when she comes.
And then we're going to do the Amazon thing, and then we'll have a printed version.
Love it.
There'll be several ways to get your hands onto it. So we'll be advertising and putting stuff out there, making sure people can find it.
Yeah,
love it.
We'll make it easy.
Yes, make it easy. And for now, as far as the following to keep abreast or keep posted about it, where can they go to, Monty? Of course, I got to ask these questions, right?
Well, they can always go to montearmstrong.com, or if they want the on the cusp news, they should probably follow us on social media, Anza and Monty.
Mm-hmm. Anza Goodbar.
You can find me on
Armstrong.
Facebook or LinkedIn at the Monte Armstrong. The Monte Armstrong, because there's several Monte Armstrongs, and oddly enough, there's several of them in the IT computer world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So I figured I'm the Monte Armstrong.
Yeah, but there are no other ones with the smooth voice and the dynamicism, and there's only one like that.
There's only one of me. Thank goodness. I mean, yes, there's only one of me.
Yes, and then follow Anza Goodbar. Yes,
Anza Goodbar. There's only one of me, so
there's only one of
really
you.
Easy find. Yeah.
Yes, and that release date, and let's bring that one more time up on the screen. The ideal client map. Stay tuned, y'all. Get the book when it comes out. You got to get the book, and this is going to be an inspiring journey. And you've been watching Get Found
and Be Seen.
And we will talk to y'all, I guess, later. We can keep talking if we want, but no, we'll let you go. Just kidding. Thanks for showing up, y'all. We'll be back. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Get